I was standing in the rain outside a coffee shop in downtown Seattle, holding a wallet I had just found on the ground, when a man in a black suit appeared next to me like he had materialized out of nowhere and said, "Miss, you need to come with us." My name is Lily Chen. I'm 24 years old, and I work as a barista at a small independent coffee shop called The Daily Brew, making barely enough to cover rent in my tiny studio apartment. The day I found that wallet was supposed to be just another Tuesday, but instead, it became the day my entire life changed in ways I could never have imagined. Let me start from the beginning, because nothing about what happened makes sense without understanding who I was before. I grew up in a small town in Oregon, the daughter of Chinese immigrants who owned a restaurant. My parents worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week to give me and my younger brother Tommy a better life. They paid for my college tuition at the University of Washington, where I studied English literature with dreams of becoming a writer. But after graduation, I couldn't find a job that paid enough to live on, so I took the barista position and told myself it was temporary. That was 3 years ago. I was still working at the Daily Brew, still living in the same 400-square-foot apartment, still trying to write at night after my shifts, still believing that someday things would change. That Tuesday started like every other day. I woke up at 5 in the morning, took the bus to work, and opened the shop at 6. The morning rush came and went, businessmen in expensive suits, ordering triple-shot espressos, students ordering iced lattes, tourists ordering things they couldn't pronounce. I made drinks, smiled, took money, and dreamed about being anywhere else. Around 2 in the afternoon, the rain started. Seattle rain, the kind that soaks through everything. Business slowed down. My coworker James left early for a dentist appointment. I was alone in the shop, wiping down counters, when I decided to take out the trash. The dumpster was in the alley behind the building. I pushed through the back door into the rain, and that's when I saw it. A wallet, lying on the ground next to the dumpster. Black leather, expensive looking, already soaked through. I picked it up and opened it to see if there was identification inside. There was. A driver's license with a photo of a man, probably in his early 30s, with dark hair and intense eyes. The name on the license read Adrian Kingsley. There were also credit cards, all black, all premium, the kind you only get if you have serious money. And there was cash. A lot of cash. I counted it quickly. $3,000 in $100 bills. My first thought was that I should turn it in to the police. My second thought was that $3,000 would pay my rent for 3 months. I stood there in the rain holding this wallet, feeling the weight of it in my hands. I had never stolen anything in my life. My parents had raised me to be honest, to do the right thing even when it was hard. But I was so tired. Tired of being broke, tired of choosing between buying groceries and paying the electric bill, tired of watching everyone around me succeed while I stayed stuck. For maybe 30 seconds, I considered keeping the money, just taking the cash and throwing the wallet back in the alley. No one would know. But I couldn't do it. I looked at the address on the driver's license. It was in Bellevue, the wealthy suburb across the lake. I could mail it, but something about having $3,000 in cash made me nervous about putting it in a mailbox. I decided I would return it in person, after my shift. I went back inside, put the wallet in my backpack, and finished my day. At 6 o'clock, I closed up the shop and took the bus to Bellevue. The address on the license led me to a building downtown. Not an apartment building, an office tower. 40 stories of steel and glass with a name I recognized. Kingsley Enterprises. I had heard of them. Everyone in Seattle had. They were one of the biggest development companies in the Pacific Northwest. Real estate, technology, investments. The Kingsley family was old money, the kind of wealth that comes with power and influence. I walked into the lobby feeling completely out of place in my coffee stand uniform. A security guard looked up from his desk. "Can I help you?" he asked in a tone that suggested I probably didn't belong there. "I found a wallet," I said, pulling it out of my backpack. "It belongs to Adrian Kingsley. I wanted to return it." The guard's expression changed immediately. "Where did you find it?" "In an alley behind the coffee shop where I work. I said. Downtown. The guard picked up a phone. I need to speak with Mr. Chen, he said after a moment. He paused, listening. Tell him someone found Mr. Kingsley's wallet. He hung up and looked at me. Someone will be down in a moment. I waited, standing awkwardly in the lobby. Other people walked past in expensive clothes, carrying briefcases or designer bags. I felt like everyone was staring at me. After about 5 minutes, the elevator opened and a man stepped out. He was Asian, probably in his 40s, wearing a suit that probably cost more than I made in a month. He walked directly to me. Miss Chen, he said. How did you know my name? I asked. The guard told me, he said, gesturing to the security desk. I'm Vincent Chen, head of security for Kingsley Enterprises. You found Mr. Kingsley's wallet. Yes, I said, holding it out. He took it and opened it, checking the contents. Everything is here, he said, looking up at me. $3,000 in cash, all the cards. You didn't take anything. No, I said, I just wanted to return it. He studied me for a long moment. Mr. Kingsley will want to thank you personally, he said. Oh, that's not necessary, I said. I was just doing the right thing. I insist, he said. He's not in the office right now, but I can take your contact information and we'll be in touch. I gave him my name and phone number. He wrote it down in a small notebook. Thank you, Miss Chen, he said. This was very honest of you. I just smiled and left feeling good about my decision. $3,000 would have helped, but I had done the right thing. That night, I went home, made instant ramen for dinner, and tried to write. But I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about that wallet, about the man in the photo, Adrian Kingsley. What was someone that wealthy doing in an alley behind a coffee shop? How did he lose his wallet? And why did it feel like Vincent Chen had been studying me, like I was some kind of puzzle he was trying to solve? I fell asleep around midnight and was woken up at 2 a.m. by someone knocking on my door. I stumbled out of bed, confused and a little scared. My neighborhood wasn't great, and no one I knew would come by at 2 a.m. I looked through the peephole. There were 2 men standing in the hallway, both in black suits. Security. I opened the door with the chain still attached. Can I help you? Miss Chen? One of them said. We're from Kingsley Enterprises. Mr. Kingsley would like to speak with you. Right now? I asked. It's 2 a.m. I'm afraid it's urgent, he said. We have a car waiting downstairs. This was insane. I should have said no, should have closed the door and called the police. But something about the way they stood there, so professional, so serious, made me curious. Give me a minute, I said. I closed the door, got dressed, threw my hair in a ponytail, and grabbed my phone. Then I opened the door and followed them downstairs. There was a black SUV waiting outside, the kind with tinted windows and an engine that probably cost more than my entire apartment building. One of the men opened the back door for me. I got in. We drove through empty streets, heading north toward the wealthy neighborhoods. After about 20 minutes, we pulled up to a gate. The driver typed in a code and the gate opened, revealing a long driveway lined with trees. At the end of the driveway was a house, except calling it a house was like calling the ocean a puddle. It was a mansion. Modern architecture, all glass and steel, lit up against the night sky. We pulled up to the front entrance and one of the security men opened my door. Mr. Kingsley is waiting inside. I walked up to the front door, which opened before I could knock. Vincent Chen was standing there. Miss Chen, he said, thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? I asked. He smiled slightly. There's always a choice. Please follow me. He led me through the house, and I tried not to stare. Everything was expensive, minimalist, perfect. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than I would make in a lifetime. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. We walked through a living room, down a hallway, and into what looked like an office. A man was sitting behind a desk, looking at a computer. He looked up when we entered, and I recognized him immediately. Adrian Kingsley. In person, he was more striking than his driver's license photo. Tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that was slightly messy, like he had been running his hands through it. He had sharp features, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, and eyes that were almost black. He was wearing dark pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He stood when he saw me. Miss Chen,
he said. "You're the one who found my wallet." "Yes," I said, feeling suddenly nervous. "Please sit." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. I sat. Vincent remained standing by the door. Adrian sat back down and looked at me. "I want to thank you," he said. "What you did, returning the wallet with everything still inside, that was remarkably honest." "You're welcome," I said. "I was just doing the right thing." "Most people wouldn't have," he said. "Most people would have taken the money and disappeared." I shrugged. "I'm not most people." "Clearly," he said. "I did some research on you after Vincent gave me your name. Lily Chen, 24 years old, graduate of UW with a degree in English literature, currently working as a barista at the Daily Brew, living alone in a studio apartment in Northgate. That's," he paused. "Invasive," I finished. "Perhaps," he said, "but I like to know who I'm dealing with." "And what you found is that I'm nobody," I said, "just a broke barista trying to pay rent." "What I found," he said, "is someone who had $3,000 in cash in her hands and chose to return it, even though that money could have solved a lot of problems for her. That tells me something about your character." I didn't know what to say to that. "Why am I here?" I finally asked. "It's 2 a.m. You could have just sent me a thank you card." "I wanted to meet you in person," he said, "and I wanted to make you an offer." "What kind of offer?" "A job," he said. "A job," I repeated. "Doing what?" "I need someone I can trust," he said, "someone with integrity, someone who won't be tempted by money or power. And based on what you did today, I think you might be that person." "You don't even know me," I said. "Not yet," he agreed, "but I'd like to." "What exactly would this job entail?" I asked. "Personal assistant," he said. "You would work for me directly, manage my schedule, handle correspondence, coordinate with my various business interests. It would be demanding, but I would compensate you well." "How well?" He named a figure that made my jaw drop. "That's more than I make in a year," I said. "That would be your starting salary," he said, "plus benefits, health insurance, retirement, and housing." Housing? "The job would require you to be available at unusual hours," he explained. "So I would provide accommodation here at the estate. You would have your own suite, full privacy, but you would need to be available when I need you." "You're offering me a job as your personal assistant and you want me to move in here?" I said, trying to process this. "Yes." "This is crazy," I said. "You don't do this to someone you just met." "I make fast decisions," he said. "It's how I've built my business. And my instinct about people is rarely wrong." I thought about my tiny apartment, my minimum wage job, the instant ramen I had for dinner. I thought about my student loans, my maxed out credit card, the fact that I hadn't been able to send money to my parents in months. This could change everything. "What's the catch?" I asked. "No catch, just hard work and loyalty. I need someone I can rely on." Someone who won't sell information about me or my business. Someone discreet. And in exchange, you get a good salary, stability, security. I was quiet for a moment. "When would this start?" he asked. "I would need you to move in immediately," he said. "Tonight, if possible." "Tonight?" I said. "I have an apartment, a job." "You can give notice at your apartment," he said. "I'll cover any fees." "And the coffee shop?" "I'll compensate them for losing you on short notice." "This is all happening very fast," I said. "I know," he said, "but sometimes the best opportunities come unexpectedly. Take the job, Lily. You won't regret it." I looked at him, trying to read his expression. There was something intense about him, something that suggested he was used to getting what he wanted. But there was also something else, a sincerity, maybe, like he genuinely believed what he was saying. "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." "Excellent." He stood and extended his hand. "Welcome to Kingsley Enterprises." I shook his hand and tried to ignore the fact that my entire life had just changed in the space of 10 minutes. "Vincent will show you to your suite," he said. "Get some rest. We'll discuss the details in the morning." Vincent led me out of the office and up a staircase to the second floor. He opened a door at the end of a hallway. "This will be your room," he said.
I walked in and felt my breath catch. The room was huge, bigger than my entire apartment. There was a king-sized bed, a sitting area, a desk, and doors leading to what looked like a walk-in closet and a private bathroom. Everything was decorated in soft grays and whites. Elegant, expensive, perfect. "This is mine?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "There are clothes in the closet. Mr. Kingsley had someone pick them up earlier. Hopefully they fit." "He had clothes bought for me already?" I asked. "Before I even agreed?" "Mr. Kingsley was confident you would accept," he said. "There's a phone on the nightstand. If you need anything, just dial 0 and someone will assist you." "Thank you," I said. Vincent nodded and left, closing the door behind him. I stood there in this beautiful room, trying to understand what had just happened. This morning, I was a barista. Now I was living in a mansion, working for one of the wealthiest men in Seattle. It felt like a dream. Or maybe a trap. But I was too tired to figure out which. I got ready for bed in the enormous bathroom with its marble counters and rainfall shower. I found pajamas in the closet. Soft, silk things that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I climbed into the bed, which was the most comfortable thing I had ever felt in my life, and I fell asleep, wondering what I had gotten myself into. I woke up to someone knocking on my door. I opened it to find a woman, probably in her 50s, holding a tray. "Good morning, Miss Chen," she said. "I'm Margaret. I'm the house manager. Mr. Kingsley asked me to bring you breakfast." "Thank you," I said, taking the tray. She had brought eggs, toast, fruit, coffee. Everything looked and smelled amazing. "Mr. Kingsley would like to meet with you in his office at 9, she said. "What time is it now?" 7:30. "Okay," I said. "Thank you." She left, and I ate breakfast. At 8:45, I got dressed in clothes from the closet. Professional clothes, a blouse and slacks that fit perfectly. I wondered how Adrian had known my size. At 9 exactly, I went downstairs and found my way back to his office. He was already there working on his computer. He looked up when I knocked. "Lily," he said, "come in." "How did you sleep?" "Really well," I said. "That bed is incredible." "Good," he said. "We have a lot to discuss. Let's start with the basics." He spent the next 2 hours explaining what my job would involve. Managing his calendar, which was complex and constantly changing, handling emails and phone calls, coordinating with his various assistants and department heads, attending meetings and taking notes. It was a lot, but I had a good memory and I was organized. "I can do this," I said. "I know you can," he said. "That's why I hired you." Over the next few days, I settled into my new life. I went back to my apartment, gave notice to my landlord, and packed up my things. Adrian sent a moving truck, and within a day, everything I owned was in my new suite. I called my parents to tell them about the new job. They were suspicious at first. "Why would someone hire you so suddenly?" my mother asked. "Is this safe?" "It's fine," I said. "He's a legitimate businessman, Mom." "Just be careful," she said. I also gave notice at the Daily Brew. My manager was shocked. "You're just leaving?" she asked. "After 3 years?" "I got a better opportunity," I said. "Well, good for you," she said. "You deserve it." My first week on the job was intense. Adrian worked constantly. He was up at 5 every morning, on calls by 6, in meetings by 7. He ran his business with precision and expected everyone around him to keep up. I learned quickly. I learned his preferences, how he took his coffee, black, no sugar, how he liked his schedule organized with specific color codes, how he hated small talk and preferred direct communication. But I also learned other things, that he was generous to his employees, paying them well and treating them with respect, that he donated millions to charity, though he never talked about it publicly, that he had a sharp sense of humor that came out when he was relaxed, and I learned that he was lonely.
He lived in this enormous house with staff coming and going, but no one who stayed. No family, no girlfriend, no close friends that I could see. Just work and more work. One evening, about 2 weeks after I started, I was in my suite working on some documents when there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Adrian standing there. He had changed out of his work clothes and was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I had never seen him so casual. "Am I interrupting?" he asked. "No," I said. "I was just finishing up some emails." "I wanted to check in," he said, "see how you're adjusting." "I'm good," I said. "It's a lot, but I'm managing." "You're doing more than managing," he said. "You're exceeding expectations. Lily, I made a good choice hiring you." "Thank you," I said. He was quiet for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you ever regret it?" he asked, returning the wallet. "Taking this job?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "Honestly, this has changed my life. I can send money to my parents now. I can pay off my student loans. And the work is interesting. I'm learning a lot." "Good," he said, "because I'd like to think this is beneficial for both of us." "It is," I said. He nodded. "Well, I'll let you get back to work." He started to leave, but I stopped him. "Adrian." He turned back. "Thank you," I said, "for this opportunity." "You're welcome," he said. "But you earned it. The moment you picked up that wallet and decided to return it, you earned it." After he left, I sat there thinking about what he had said, that I had earned this, that returning the wallet had been a test of my character, and I had passed. It felt good to be seen that way, to be valued for my integrity instead of just my ability to make coffee. Over the next few months, I became more than just Adrian's assistant. I became someone he trusted. He started asking my opinion on things, business decisions, real estate deals, investment opportunities. At first, I thought he was just being polite, but I quickly realized he actually valued my input. "You have good instincts," he told me one day, after I had suggested a different approach to a negotiation. "Don't underestimate yourself." I also became his confidant. Late at night, when the house was quiet, he would sometimes knock on my door and we would talk about his business, about his family, who he didn't speak to anymore, about the pressure of running a company. And I would tell him about my life, about growing up in my parents' restaurant, about my dreams of being a writer, about feeling like I had wasted years of my life making coffee. "You didn't waste anything," he said. "Those experiences made you who you are. Someone who understands hard work, someone who doesn't take things for granted, someone I can trust." It was during one of these late-night conversations, about 6 months after I started working for him, that something shifted between us. We were in his office, he was sitting on the couch, and I was in the chair across from him. We had been talking about a difficult decision he had to make about selling one of his properties. "I think you should do it," I said. "The offer is good, and the property isn't performing the way you expected." "You're probably right," he said, "but I hate admitting when something doesn't work out." "That's ego talking," I said, "not business sense." He laughed. "You're not afraid to call me out on things, are you?" "Someone has to," I said. He looked at me, then really looked at me, and I felt something in the air between us, something electric. "Lily," he said, "can I ask you something personal?" "Okay." "Are you happy here?" "Yes," I said, surprised by the question. "Why?" "Because," he said, "I want you to be. You've become important to me." "As an assistant?" "As more than that," he said. "You've become a friend, and I don't have many of those." I felt my heart start to race. "I value our friendship too," I said. He stood up and walked over to where I was sitting. He looked down at me and I saw something in his eyes that made my breath catch. What if it became more than friendship? He asked quietly. Adrian, I started, but I didn't know how to finish. I'm sorry, he said, stepping back. That was inappropriate. You work for me. I shouldn't have said anything. No, I said, standing up. I'm glad you did. You are? I nodded. Because I've been feeling the same way. He stepped closer. You have? Yes, I admitted. I've been trying to ignore it because you're my boss and this could complicate everything, but yes. So, what do we do about it? He asked. I don't know, I said. For a moment, we just stood there looking at each other. Then he reached out and gently touched my face. I've been thinking about this for months, he said. I've been trying to talk myself out of it because, you're right, it complicates everything. But I can't stop. I can't either, I whispered. He leaned down and kissed me. It was soft at first, tentative, like he was giving me a chance to pull away. But I didn't. I kissed him back and felt something inside me wake up. Something that had been dormant for years. When we pulled apart, he said, "This changes things." I know, I said. We need to be careful, he said. I don't want people thinking I'm taking advantage of you. You're not, I said. This is my choice, and I'm choosing this. He smiled. Then let's figure this out together. That was the beginning of us. We kept our relationship private at first, not telling the staff, not telling anyone. It felt safer that way, less complicated. We would have dinner together in his private dining room. We would watch movies in his home theater. We would stay up late talking about everything and nothing. And slowly, I fell in love with him. Not with his money or his house or his power, but with him. The way he laughed at stupid jokes, the way he remembered little details about things I had mentioned in passing, the way he looked at me like I was the most important person in his world. 3 months after we started seeing each other, Adrian told me he loved me. We were in his room, it was late, and we had just finished watching a terrible action movie that we both made fun of the entire time.
He turned to me and said, "I love you, Lily. I know this is fast, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I do." "I love you too," I said, because I did. Completely. He pulled me close. "I never thought I would feel this way about anyone," he said. "I thought I was too focused on work, too damaged by my family. But then you showed up with my wallet and changed everything." "I'm glad I found it," I said. "So am I." We fell asleep together that night, and when I woke up in the morning, I felt happy, truly happy for the first time in years. But happiness never lasts forever. 2 weeks later, everything started to fall apart. It started with a phone call. Adrian's brother, someone he hadn't spoken to in years, called and said he wanted to meet. Adrian was hesitant, but he agreed. The meeting was at a restaurant downtown. Adrian asked me to come with him. When we arrived, his brother was already there. He looked like Adrian, but softer, less sharp. His name was Marcus. "Adrian," Marcus said stiffly. "Marcus," he replied, then looked at me. "And who's this?" "This is Lily," Adrian said, "my assistant." "Assistant," Marcus said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, or something more. "That's none of your business," Adrian said. "What do you want, Marcus?" "I want to talk about the company," Marcus said, "about Dad's will." "There's nothing to talk about," Adrian said. "Everything was settled years ago." "Was it?" Marcus asked. "Because I've been looking into things, and I think you might have made some decisions that Dad wouldn't have approved of." "Like what?" "Like selling off properties that were part of the family legacy," Marcus said. "Like making deals without consulting the board." "I am the board," Adrian said. "For now," Marcus said, "but that could change." "Is that a threat?" "Just information," Marcus said. "I'm considering challenging your control of the company." "On what grounds?" "On the grounds that you've lost sight of what this company is supposed to be about," Adrian said. "Family legacy." "This isn't about legacy," Adrian said. "This is about you being bitter that Dad left the company to me."
Dad made a mistake, Marcus said. You've always been about money and power, never about family. And you've always been about taking what you didn't earn, Adrian shot back. This meeting is over. He stood up and I followed. We left the restaurant and got in the car. Are you okay? I asked. He was quiet for a long moment. My brother wants to take the company from me, he finally said. Can he do that? He can try, Adrian said. He would need to get the board on his side, and he would need to prove I'm not fit to run the company. Are you worried? Yes, he admitted, because Marcus is smart, and he knows how to manipulate people. Over the next few weeks, Marcus made his move. He started talking to board members, planting seeds of doubt. He hired lawyers to review Adrian's decisions, looking for anything he could use against him. And then he found out about me, about us. I don't know how. Maybe someone on the staff talked. Maybe he had people following Adrian. But one day, Marcus showed up at the house. I answered the door. You must be Lily, he said. What do you want? I asked. To talk to my brother, he said. Is he here? He's in a meeting. I'll wait, Marcus said, pushing past me into the house. You can't just... I started, but he was already walking toward Adrian's office. I followed him. He knocked once, then opened the door without waiting for a response. Adrian was on a video call. He looked up, saw Marcus, and his expression went cold. I'll call you back, he said, ending the call. What are you doing here, Marcus? I came to talk about your relationship with your assistant, Marcus said. That's none of your concern, Adrian said. Oh, but it is, Marcus said, because you're sleeping with an employee, Adrian. That's a conflict of interest. It could be grounds for the board to question your judgment. Get out, Adrian said. Not until you hear what I have to say, Marcus continued. I'm going to call a board meeting. I'm going to present evidence that you're making poor decisions, both professionally and personally. And I'm going to ask them to remove you as CEO. You won't succeed, Adrian said. Maybe not, Marcus said, but I'm going to try. And even if I don't succeed, I'll make your life very difficult. Your relationship with her, he gestured to me, it'll be public. Everyone will know. People will talk. They'll question whether she got her position through merit or through other means. That's not true, I said. Of course it's not, Marcus said with false sympathy, but that won't stop people from saying it. He turned back to Adrian. You have a choice, brother. Step down voluntarily and I'll leave her out of it. Or fight me and watch everything you've built get destroyed, including her reputation. Get out, Adrian said again, his voice deadly quiet. Marcus smiled. Think about it, brother. You have a week. He left. Adrian and I stood there in silence. I'm sorry, he finally said. For what? I asked. For dragging you into this, he said. Marcus is right. This will get ugly, and you'll be caught in the middle. I don't care, I said. I knew what I was getting into, and I'm not leaving just because your brother is trying to intimidate us. He pulled me into his arms. I don't deserve you, he said. Yes, you do, I said. The next week was tense. Adrian met with lawyers, prepared for the board meeting. I helped him organize documents, gather evidence of his successful decisions as CEO. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday. The day before, Adrian called me into his office. I need to tell you something, he said. What? If this goes badly tomorrow, he said, if Marcus succeeds in removing me, I want you to know that I'll make sure you're taken care of, financially. You'll have enough money to... Stop, I said. I don't want your money. I want you. He looked at me. Even if I lose everything? I don't care about the money or the house or any of this, I said. I care about you. That's all that matters. He kissed me. I love you, he said. I love you too. The next day we went to the board meeting together. It was held at the Kingsley Enterprises headquarters in a large conference room on the top floor. The board members were already there, 10 people in expensive suits sitting around a long table. Marcus was there too, with his lawyers. Adrian and I sat at one end of the table, Marcus at the other.
The chairman of the board, an older man named Robert, began the meeting. We're here to discuss concerns raised by Marcus Kingsley regarding Adrian's leadership of the company. Marcus stood up. Thank you, Robert. I'll get straight to the point. My brother has been making decisions that are not in the best interest of this company or our family legacy. He's sold properties without board approval, he's entered into deals that carry significant risk, and he's engaged in a personal relationship with a subordinate, which represents a serious conflict of interest. Robert looked at Adrian. Would you like to respond? Adrian stood. Everything Marcus has said is either a mischaracterization or an outright lie. The properties I sold were underperforming. The board was notified of each sale. The deals I've entered into have been profitable, as the financial reports show. And my relationship with Lily, he looked at me, is personal and has no bearing on my ability to run this company. Marcus scoffed. No bearing? She's your employee, Adrian. You have power over her. That's textbook conflict of interest. Actually, I said, standing up, I'd like to say something. Everyone looked at me. Adrian didn't have power over me, I said. I chose to be in this relationship, and I chose to work for him because he's brilliant and fair and treats everyone with respect. If you want to question his leadership, fine, but don't use me as an excuse. Marcus smiled. How noble, he said. But it doesn't change the facts. Adrian has compromised his position. Robert held up a hand. I think we've heard enough arguments. Let's put it to a vote. All in favor of removing Adrian Kingsley as CEO, raise your hand. I held my breath. Marcus raised his hand. And one other board member. That was it. Everyone else kept their hands down. Robert looked around. All opposed? 8 hands went up. The motion fails, Robert said. Adrian Kingsley will remain CEO of Kingsley Enterprises. Marcus's face went red. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is, Adrian said quietly. And Marcus, you're done. You've tried to manipulate this board, to destroy my reputation, to hurt someone I care about, and you've failed. I want you off this board effective immediately. You can't do that, Marcus said. I just did, Adrian said. The bylaws give me the authority to remove any board member for cause, and attempting to stage a coup definitely qualifies. Security. 2 security guards appeared at the door. Please escort Mr. Marcus Kingsley out of the building, Adrian said. Marcus stood. You'll regret this, he said. I already regret that we are related, Adrian replied. Marcus was escorted out. After he left, Robert said, I think we're done here. Adrian, congratulations on retaining our confidence. Thank you, Robert, Adrian said. The board members filed out until it was just Adrian and me. We did it, I said. You did it, he corrected. If you hadn't spoken up, if you hadn't defended me, that vote might have gone differently. I just told the truth, I said. He pulled me close. I was so scared, he admitted. Not of losing the company, but of losing you. If Marcus had succeeded, if this had destroyed your reputation, I never would have forgiven myself. But it didn't, I said. We're both fine. Better than fine, he said. We left the building and went back to the house. That night, Adrian made dinner for us. He wasn't a great cook, but he tried, and I appreciated the effort. Afterward, we sat on the couch in his living room. So what now? I asked. Now, he said, we live our lives. We stop hiding. We tell the staff. We go public with our relationship if you want. Do you want to? I asked. More than anything, he said. I'm tired of pretending that you're just my assistant. You're so much more than that. What am I? I asked. You're everything, he said. You're my partner, my best friend, the person I want to spend my life with. That sounds serious, I said. It is, he said. Lily, I know it's fast. I know we've only been together for a few months, but I can't imagine my future without you in it. I felt tears starting. I can't imagine my future without you either, I said. Then let's build it together, he said. That was 8 months ago. Since then, things have only gotten better. We told the staff about our relationship. Margaret, the house manager, cried happy tears. Vincent, the security chief, said he already knew. We went public. There were some raised eyebrows, some gossip, but mostly people were supportive. Adrian's ex-board member, Marcus, tried to make trouble for a while, but eventually gave up and moved to New York. We haven't heard from him since. I still work as Adrian's assistant, but now I'm also his partner in other ways. I help him make decisions about the company, I've started getting involved in his charitable work, and I've started writing again. Not just in my spare time, but seriously. Adrian converted one of the rooms in the house into an office for me, a place where I can work on my novel without distractions. He believes in me in ways no one else ever has. And last week, he asked me to marry him. We were at the coffee shop, the Daily Brew, where I used to work. He had taken me there for old time's sake. We were sitting at a table drinking overpriced lattes when he got down on one knee. "Lily," he said, "you changed my life the day you returned my wallet. You showed me that there are still good people in the world, people with integrity and kindness and strength. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Will you marry me?" I said yes before he even finished the question. We're getting married in the spring. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. My parents are thrilled. My brother, Tommy, is going to be a groomsman. Even my old manager from the coffee shop is invited. As I sit here writing this, I think about how one small decision changed everything. I could have kept that wallet, could have taken the money and disappeared, could have ignored my conscience and done what was easy instead of what was right. But I didn't, and because of that choice, I found a life I never imagined. A home, a career, a partner who sees me for who I really am and loves me anyway. People sometimes ask me if I regret not keeping the money, if I ever wonder what would have happened if I had made a different choice, and I tell them no. Because what I found was worth so much more than $3,000. I found love. I found purpose. I found myself. The night Adrian's security moved me into his house, I thought my life was changing. I had no idea how much. I thought I was just taking a job, but I was starting a journey that would lead me here. To happiness, to love, to a future I'm excited to live. And it all started with a wallet in the rain. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you, but sometimes it gives you everything. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.